if someone said I would have owned a ranch when I was 11 years old, I would have been like, bro, where you from? Get up out of here. Like, I'm from Los Angeles.
It makes me want to train, but I'm not
Girl,
at that
do
point
it.
anymore.
I'm like, go.
What was that, do 6 jobs?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Jackie Redmond Show. We are thrilled to be with you once again, and trust me, we have quite the lineup for you today. First up, we're going to catch up with one of my favorite people in this business, Blake Bolden. She wears many hats. She is a scout. She's a former player. She's an on-air talent for ESPN, and she has one of my favorite segments in hockey right now, her on-ice demos and challenges, which have featured the likes of Sidney Crosby. No big deal. I'll show you my conversation with her from earlier in the week. Plus, we will check in on our Canadian teams and discuss which Canadian team has the best chance to go on a run this postseason. And last but certainly not least, former NFL stud Delanie Walker joins the show. And believe me, you have never seen him quite like this. Let's do this. When I tell you I have so much admiration for our next guest, I don't think that word does it justice. Miss Blake Bolden joining the show. I'm so excited to see you and catch up. And I will just start with the obvious, Blake. How many jobs we work in these days? What is going on?
Oh, man. First, I'm excited to see you too. You are crushing it, thriving in all the things that you do. I have maybe 3 or 4 jobs and then a couple of side hustles.
Yeah.
Some community stuff, all the things.
No big deal, no big deal. Just doing it all and crushing every single thing that you do. I love watching you thrive. For viewers that are watching that maybe aren't aware, Blake wears many, many hats, which include ESPN. She is also a scout at the NHL level. So many things going on with you, Blake, and I love watching you do all of it. And I remember when you first started the scouting thing, what's the biggest thing that you have learned over this journey, which has got to be, you got to be like maybe 5 years into this. Am I overshooting here?
Just by a year. I'm 4 years into it.
Okay. I'm going to use the pandemic as my excuse.
100%.
Yeah.
January 3rd, 2020 was my first scouting gig day ever, and I've been doing it ever since. COVID took, a little time out. But one thing I've learned, I think, is just to trust myself, trust the game that I know so well, and just believe that I'm deserving of being there. I was the first woman of color, second woman overall to do this job, and I think I entered it a little bit timid. And now I'm just like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. But I can imagine in the beginning, because of the gravity of it, that automatically comes with the pressure. But pressure is, of course, a privilege as you come to learn the more and more you try things and do things and succeed and fail and succeed again. So I'm so happy for you. And I want to talk to you specifically about your on-ice segments for ESPN, because I am obsessed. But not only are you on the ice with these pro players, breaking down the game, competing against them, having fun, learning how to fight. I mean, you've done it all, but you're doing it with the likes of Sidney Crosby, like the biggest names of the biggest names. How did that start? Like, where did this idea come from, and how did it actually come together?
Ooh, that's such a funny story, because when I first started with ESPN, I don't have a journalistic background. I was sitting in these small rooms interviewing the players, and my producers were like, you look a little bit uncomfortable. Like, this just isn't really your jam. And my husband was like, it would be so great if you just got on the ice. And then my producer was like, how about we just get some Kings players on the ice? I had the Mad Line. I had Jonathan Quick. I was scoring on Quickie at one point. And we just made it happen. And we just discovered Breaking the Ice with Blake Bolden was going to be great content. And we just floored it in Player Media Tour Day.
Yeah, and
30 interviews in 2 days.
Was it 30 in 2 days?
Yeah, girl. I was on the ice all day.
But you know what? Like, to be fair, like, you are at home on the ice, so it makes sense that comfort for the viewer would automatically be there. But then to have these guys be open to so many different conversations and different things. I mean, you competing with Sid, that one stands out because it's Sid, because it's you guys are competing with each other. What do you remember about that shoot that maybe we didn't see?
Well, first of all, Sid is like the most competitive person I've ever met. The first year that we did it, I was starstruck. I was like, oh my gosh, Sid the Kid, this is crazy. We were doing some pup protection and that went viral, right? So year 2, I'm like, Sid, we gotta make it big, man. We went viral year 1 and he's like, yeah, I know you, I remember you. His comfortability's up. And we're just shooting corners and timing each other. And it was so fun because I was chirping him because I beat him 1.5 times.
Hey,
and
one and a half
no,
more
run
than
it
most
back.
people.
So it was great. I mean, one, he's just 36 years old and he's at the top of his game still. And it's just such an honor to be on the ice with him. And he's just a good person. Not just with him, but all the players. All of them feel way more comfortable on the ice because that's our home. We've been on there since we were 2 to, we started playing hockey.
Yeah,
So put us on there and we'll say whatever you want.
Yeah, I imagine too, I would be curious to know the amount of hours spent on the ice versus off for a professional hockey player that started at, 3, 4, whatever it is, all the way up to the pro level. It's got to be an outrageous amount of hours. But,
Yes.
It's inspiring, right? Like seeing someone like Sidney Crosby, who's won everything, some things more than once, and is at 36 years old, still putting in the work, still being one of the elite players in the league. Like, I don't play hockey, and it inspires me to be better in so many facets of what I do. So I can't imagine being on the ice with him. What did you guys talk about outside of, who's beating who at said challenge?
You feel it. I mean, you feel his energy and his presence. And at first he's a little more serious and then and all the players are a little bit more serious because they're maybe a little bit guarded. We're capturing this on camera and I'm like, guys, don't worry, it's taped. Like, I'm a newbie, it's fine. So we're just joking around with each other and I'm trying to get him to be more open and we're not really chatting because I have a window of 3 to 7 minutes.
Wow.
So it's like in and out. Let's have a good time. Okay, next, Tom Wilson. Okay, next. Like, it's just a car wash.
What a fun day. Just one after the other on the ice doing these very unique and really, really quality segments. For next year, is there something specific or someone specific you want to get and try and do something with?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm just flabbergasted and shocked every time I'm on the ice because everybody's giving grave reviews. I haven't even thought about it because I've had the best already.
Because you're just knocking it out of the park every time. It's no big deal.
What do I want?
It is. Well, listen, I personally look forward to seeing your next installments of the segment because it really is. It's a fan favorite for a reason. It's so great, and I love watching it. But it is one of many things that you do, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you as well about the women's game and everything that is going on with the PWHL this year and seeing how that has taken off. It's been, the fact that it exists is one accomplishment, but the fact that fans have embraced it, they're going out in droves, they're selling out arenas. What is that like from your perspective as a player?
Well, I'm just trying to get to a game. I'm just trying to plan my schedule out so I can see it. I follow on social media and my jaw hits the floor. 19,000 fans. People that are just inspired and on their feet and showing up, and the girls are getting sponsorships and commercials and Sarah nurses everywhere. And it's just so inspiring. And it makes me want to train, but I'm not at that point anymore.
I'm like, go.
What was that, be 6 jobs?
Just add another. You can fit it in. You can make it work. I believe in you. If anyone could do it, Blake, it would be you. But
I appreciate you, Jack.
outside of all of these jobs and side hustles and things that are happening, this show, we are trying to kind of expose, who people are in and around the game of hockey and the biggest fans of hockey. So for you, like, what do people not know about you? What are your biggest passions that don't have anything to do with hockey?
My biggest passions that don't have anything to do with hockey. I am not an extroverted person. As much as I'm out and hugging kids and running camps and clinics and being out there in all these meetings and on TV, I'm actually super shy. I like to be in the kitchen. I made an ebook during COVID. I love to cook.
I didn't know that.
It's called Eating with Color. Yeah, I can send it to you.
Please.
I like to garden. Now I live in the country and I just love to be outside, and I live in California where it's sunny. So I love my pup, I love my family, my husband, and I love to be in the kitchen.
So what is your go-to, like, never misses meal that you cook? Like, no matter who you're making it for, no matter what mood you might be in, it's a smash hit every time.
I just made this past Saturday the best butternut squash soup with pumpkin seed brittle and coconut milk drizzle. And it's just a hit. Like, we had like 8 people over and they're like, this is the best soup I've ever had. And I'm like, I know.
Oh, when I tell you, I am a sucker for butternut squash. I love butternut squash. So now I'm going to have to actually get that recipe and try it at my country home when I eventually get back to it, because that sounds amazing on like a rainy winter, spring day. Like, curl up with a bowl of butternut squash soup.
And some sourdough bread. You can't forget that.
Okay. And the sourdough, do you make that too?
No, I'm trying now.
Okay. That's on the list for later. All right, I'm allowed to just buy the sourdough. Good to know. All right, before we let you go, Blake, I want to get your thoughts on this season as a whole, what you've seen, which teams you like. Who do you see as maybe the top dogs, maybe 1 or 2 in the East and 1 or 2 in the West?
Well, Toronto. I know you love your Toronto boys.
Girl, I do. It's a love-hate, actually.
Great right now. They're doing great right now. The Rangers are kicking butt. You see the sweatshirt I'm wearing, so I know who pays my bills. I just think, one, we've had a challenging January, and we're coming out of the hole. If you haven't seen Quinton Byfield's goal, like, you're living in a closet. We're coming out, so it's going to be a fortuitous year for us, hopefully, with all the changes going on. Dallas, I really like Dallas. I was super pumped to see Logan Stankoven score his first NHL goal. That was unreal. They've got a lot of firepower, and we'll see what happens, girl. I mean, I can't say too much here.
This year, the thing I love about this year is that I really do feel like maybe 14 out of the 16 teams that do make it have a legit shot to go on a run. Like, I do think that there's more unpredictability this year than in years past. And that's saying something, because it's hockey. There's always unpredictability. Yeah. There's always a team that goes on a Cinderella run and we're like, where'd this team come from? We didn't expect this. So I'm super pumped. I know the playoffs are still a little bit away, but I can't wait, because I really do think that most playoff teams have some pretty big flaws, which means everyone's beatable. So I can't wait to see what happens. As we say goodbye, I hope I run into you in person very soon. But what is next for Blake Bolden?
What's next for me? Well, I turned 33 on Sunday, so that's big.
33 years young. Happy birthday.
Thank you. We got our Women's History Month going on, so a lot of Kings activations around that. Manon Mariom and I are just growing the game in Southern California. And then I'm on the road, girl. I got 10 teams in the Pacific that I'm scouting. We got some ESPN games coming up. March 19th, I'll be doing the Ducks at home. And I'm trying to do a Kings game with ESPN. So I'm just like, come on, guys, let's make this happen.
Yeah, you would think that that would be an automatic, perhaps. But as someone who also rocks a pretty complicated psychotic schedule, I feel like it's easier said than done, probably in your case. But congratulations again on all of the things. I love watching you thrive and shine and crush it, and I cannot wait to run into you, hopefully in the very near future. Thank you so much for this, Blake. You are the absolute best.
Thank you, Jackie.
All right, next up, we are so excited, beyond thrilled, to invite and welcome former NFL stud and part-time hockey fan Delanie Walker onto the show, live from his ranch in Tennessee. I tell no lies, right, Delanie?
Nah, you're not telling no lie. It actually wanted me to get back in the tractor. That's where I'm at right now, talking to you guys.
Okay, wait a minute. I actually was not aware of this fact that you are legitimately sitting in a tractor right now. So give us the tractor details, if you will. What kind of tractor is this? What are you doing with it? Is my follow-up? Give us the lowdown.
Are you familiar with tractors?
Yes, I married a man that grew up on a dairy farm. I actually own a tractor technically. I mean, it's his, but we're married, so what's his is mine, right?
Sure, indeed. It's a Bobcat. It's a 2020 Bobcat CT 555. It's a nice size tractor. It's one that has air conditioning and heating. I need that. I sweat a lot, so that helps when you out here trying to clear land. But I use it to, bale hay, mow the lawn, move stuff that needs to be moved. Pretty much anything that's deals with the farm, you can use this tractor for it.
I love it. So fun fact, I actually used my husband's tractor. We got married on our property in Nova Scotia, and I used the tractor to mow the lawn that he had just neglected for so long. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. Teach me how to drive this thing. And he stood there just watching me do it, worried that I was going to hurt his tractor. But anyways, so you have a ranch. I'm super invested, and I want to know more. So what does having a ranch entail? What do you have on your ranch? Do you have animals? Like, give us kind of the background of this ranch life that you're living.
Mostly, goats, some chickens, stuff like that on the ranch. I'm looking to get some more cattle, some horses, all to come. The ranch haven't been touched in 20 years. So
wow.
Right now I'm doing a lot of cleaning, getting all the stuff just situated. It's a lot of bad trees out here that are killing the other good trees. So just really moving stuff around, putting her animals in different areas of the property. It's very difficult work, but it's satisfying at the end of the day.
When did owning a ranch and manning a ranch, because it sounds like you're doing a lot of the work yourself, when did this become a dream for you? Like if we went back and asked like 11-year-old Delanie Walker if he thought one day he might own a ranch, what would that kid say?
If you met me when I was 11 years old, I'm not sure I would have said. I probably was I was a different person back then. So if someone said I would have owned a ranch when I was 11 years old, I would have been like, bro, where you from? Get up out of here. Like, I'm from Los Angeles. Never seen a farm, never seen a ranch, never even have more than an acre that I lived on. So, to see myself now, I just understand that, you grow up and you understand that you need to value different things in life, and owning a farm is that peaceful value that I look for, and meaning I eat the food that I eat the food that I grow, I eat the food that I produce on my own land, so I know where it's coming from. It's just a healthier way of living, and also just to to have the peace and quiet, not having neighbors around you that helps.
Yeah, you know what? Like when I was 16, I always thought, I'm going to be a big city girl. I'm going to live in New York City. It's going to be this and that. And then I moved into the country myself, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never known this type of peace before in my life. Like waking up in the country, going outside, not a soul in sight. It's just you and God's land. It's a pretty awesome feeling.
True, very true. It's beautiful.
All right, so you've got the ranch. It sounds like that keeps you very busy. But I know you've dipped your toe into the hockey world, playing in Tennessee, being in Nashville, going to Preds games, one of the best barns in the entire league. How did that all start? And are you still following along with what the Preds are up to? Because they're hot. I don't know if you know this, but the last month they have been on fire.
Well, it started, I'm from Los Angeles. We got like 3 teams, you know what I mean? You got San Jose, you got Anaheim, you got the LA Kings. So, I mean, and it may started from the Mighty Ducks, watching that movie. I think just watching that and not having hockey where I was at, maybe like hockey, just because I saw that movie and saw kids do something great. And I think that just carried on. And then when I played for San Francisco, I would go to the San Jose Sharks games a lot, and they were pretty good when I was there. So that got me hooked. And then coming to Nashville was like Predators. All I heard was Predators, Predators. And at the time, I didn't know who the Predators were. I'm like, Predators? They like, it's a hockey team. I'm like, got to check it out. So I got so invested in it, and them guys were just kicking butt. But to be honest, it's the atmosphere. When you go to a Predators game, I don't think no one else does it better than we do it. It is one of the best shows out there. Even on the ice, they're kicking butt and making it fun, but it's the announcer. He gives us a party every time we're in that stadium, and it rocks. And, and I identify with that, and I just love what the Predators are doing.
As a pro athlete yourself, like how much, we hear it all the time, it sounds a bit cliche, but truly, how much does a player in the thick of a big game, when the crowd is that way, so invested, so loud, having so much fun, like how much and why do you think athletes feed off of that so much?
It's crazy that the big part of excitement and feeling that adrenaline rush is from the crowds. It's like a heartbeat when you just hear the crowd roar all at once. And it's funny, I tell people this all the time. I say it's one thing everybody can do, but it's one thing everybody can't do. And that's score a goal, a touchdown in front of 80,000 people. Not everybody can do that, but everybody can do other stuff, but not everybody can do that. Yeah. And that feeling right there is incredible. To hear people scream your name all at once, crowd go roar all at once when you score a goal. And I don't know what it is. I think sometimes we just need that encouragement, that excitement from the fan, that love. I really can't tell you what it is. I think it's different for everybody why we need that as athletes, because I can tell you one thing. If it's a quiet stadium, we probably not going to play that well, it shows if you look at teams that not doing well, they not selling tickets, they usually play terrible because there's nobody in the crowd. So usually when you have fans out there going nuts, screaming, cheering their song, that's what we do it for. We do it for the fans. So
yeah, it's like that extra bit of juice that you can get from the fans. Now, I've seen, you've taken in games in different ways, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I've seen you do the Sweet Life, but I've also seen you, right in the mix, in the seats, next to fans, taking selfies, making time. Which way do you prefer to watch a hockey game in person?
I prefer to watch it in the stands. I think in the stands, you more invested, you more in the game, you're watching it. You got fans that's, telling you stuff that you didn't know, giving you some pointers. So I would have to say being in the stands is probably by far the best way to watch hockey. When you're in the suite, it's almost like you're not even really watching the game. Everybody want to talk to you. Everybody trying to ask you what's next. And I'm like, I missed that because of you. You know what I mean?
Happened?
So
yeah.
I like. Yeah. So I like sitting in the stands. I think sitting in the stands is the way to go, 100%.
Yeah, I think any legit sports fan probably feels that on some level. Let me ask you about the players. You play in Nashville, the Predators there, you start getting into hockey, going to games. We see it all the time, right? Athletes from different sports playing in the same city, they get to know each other. They become friends, they hang out. Have you ever been out on the town in Smashville, out on Broadway with any of the Preds, and what's your relationship like with some of those guys?
Only with PK. When PK was playing with the Predators, PK would be out a lot. So, I got to see PK.
Shocking.
We both was out a lot. we both was out a lot at that time. And we would see each other, and we got to become good friends and hang out. And, everyone's the same. You know what I mean? Other his accent, he got a little Canadian accent, but other than that, we all the same. All athletes pretty much breathe the same. So I got to experience a lot of memories with him, but everyone else, I don't see them too often, or we may just not be in the same places. But again, after I retired, maybe my 12th year, I stopped going out. And again, I live in Dixon, so I'm about an hour away from Nashville. So didn't go out that much, but they always show me love when I'm at the game. So I got all them dudes that, if y'all watching this, thank y'all for always showing me love. They don't have to do that. So I'm thankful for that.
Well, listen, if Juicy UC Saros and these Nashville Predators hang on to their playoff spot, you think you're going to make it out to a game and take it in?
Of course.
What kind of question is that?
Look, yeah, you got to be at the playoffs. Come on, they know I'm at the playoffs. If they make it to the playoffs, fans be waiting for me. I knew you was coming. Of course, I got to lay down for the Predators.
Listen, if the fans know when you're going to show up, then you've been to a game or two in your time. But Delaney, it's been so much fun chatting with you about the ranch, about hockey. But I also want to know, what are you up to these days? What's going on? What initiatives are you involved in? And how are you spending your time outside of the ranch?
Right now, I'm with the Legends community, so I'm a Legends coordinator. I help guys transition from the NFL. That means, we help them with benefits, medical issues, getting them coaching, mentorships, broadcast boot camping, anything in that field where players want to access their second life. I try to help them guys with that. And if I don't have the information, I'll find the information. I got people that's backing me that help me out with that information. But also, I'm on a podcast called Slips and Picks. Partner up with Bustin' with the Boys, Will Compton and Taylor Lewan. We all on the show together, and I'm my co-host, where, we just go out there. We talk about picks of the week and just really that locker room talk. You know what I mean? Pretty much that's what it is. But that's what I do lately. You know what I mean? If I'm not here at the ranch, I'm doing a podcast, or I'm somewhere in New York with the NFL trying to, see if we can help people out, some of these retirees.
I got two follow-up questions. I want to ask you about the NFL Combine, but you mentioned all the things that you're up to there. One of your boys, is he the guy that takes off his shirt all the time at the Preds games?
Yes, yeah. Taylor Lewan is. Yeah, and he chugged the beer through the catfish.
Yes, legendary. Yeah. The first time you did that, what was your reaction?
I'm like, I hope you don't get sick, bro. We got a game.
This guy's on the sidelines missing a game because he drank beer out of a fish. This is wild. Safe to say we're probably never going to see you do that, or would you do that? If the Preds won Game 7 in overtime, go into the Cup final, would you do it?
No, if they win the whole shabam, I'll definitely do it. If they win the whole shabam, I'll put that on my podcast. We'll do it. I promise you. It may be Twisted Tea, but we're going to see.
Okay, Twisted Tea out of a fish instead of out of the Stanley Cup, or maybe both. I assume you'll be at that Cup party if it happens.
If they give me that option, I'm definitely taking a shot out of the Cup for sure.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool trophy, right? We always say in hockey, and we're biased, right? We're always best trophy in sports, it looks the best. What do athletes from other sports think of the Stanley Cup? Does it have that same kind of reputation that it's cool because it's big and it's got the big cup? And do you guys feel the same way about it, that it's a cool trophy?
Yeah, we think it's a cool trophy because it's the same trophy. You know what I mean? They put everyone who wins on it, and that trophy, it's always the best team get to hold that trophy, just like you felt like in high school. We hold that trophy until next year. So we always think about that because our trophy, they make a different one every year, give it to the team, even though it holds the same weight and value of winning a trophy. But, when you look at a trophy, the long line of history, a Stanley Cup has all of that engraved onto it.
Yeah, such a great point, because that trophy could, if it could talk, could tell so many different stories, amazing stories, probably spanning decades. If we could get AI on that, get the Stanley Cup to talk, we would have some legendary content. But let me ask you about the NFL Combine, because I know you got involved in some mentorship, I believe. How much does it mean to you to be able to mentor other people and help them sort of along their journey?
The way I got involved with that, again, is being a Legends coordinator. With the Legends community, we give retired players the opportunity to be mentors at the Combine and other activities where they're college kids coming into the pros, just so we can be there if they have any questions. I love doing it. You know what I mean? I grew up playing this sport my whole life. All I know is football. And then be around them guys and see how respectful they are and understanding and want to learn, you know, that makes me happy, man. I just know that the NFL is going to last longer just because of the guys that's coming up understand who we are and what we bring to the table, and they want to learn from us. And I want to give them as much knowledge as possible to be successful in this league, because anything can come at them they probably never experienced or had no one who experienced it before, just to give them information about that so they don't go down them same lines. That's a good thing. It's a blessing, and it makes the league look good. So we want to keep these guys out of trouble. So if I can do that, I'm definitely going to do that.
Well, listen, your story is an amazing story. It's an inspiring one, and the fact that you're giving back and trying to help other people along the way is awesome to hear. And I think, too, like, just to go beyond the Combine and just younger kids that follow or maybe hear your story or maybe look you up after watching this interview, like, I think you're a great example of, like, what sport can do for youth if they're able to get involved and able to access it and have the right resources to play and to be competitive, right?
Very true. Very true. I mean, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for football, and I'm thankful for that.
All right. Well, listen, I hope I see you on the Jumbotron at a Preds game in about a month's time, having a blast and cheering on the Preds in the playoffs, because this run that they are on right now has been so fun to watch. Like, they are on fire.
Oh, no, they killing. I mean, you can't go in no bar nowhere in Nashville and not see the Predators. So you best do that.
Listen, I just want the assignment in Nashville. I just want to be able to go to Nashville so I can watch the games and then have my own time on Broadway on the off days. But listen, I appreciate you. We'll let you get back to ranching. Thank you for this. It's been a pleasure talking to you, man.
Same here. Thanks for having me.
All right, we are less than 1 month away from the best time of year, the Stanley Cup playoffs. I can hardly believe it, but I do know this. We need to revisit our Canadian playoff teams, because all season long, there's been this vibe that maybe, just maybe, this is the year a Canadian team can go on a deep run and bring that Stanley Cup back home to Canada. So let's take a look at our squads, shall we? We will start out west with the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, they were hot out the gate. They were scoring a lot of goals. Thatcher Demko was looking like a stud. They were fun. They were exciting. But since the All-Star break, they haven't quite looked like the same team. In fact, they have just 5 wins since we were hanging out in TO. That's good for just the 24th best record in the NHL over that span. And they're not scoring at nearly the same rate they were the first half of the season, not to mention their goaltender, who's amazing when he's playing. Problem is, right now, he's hurt. So he's going to be coming off of an injury to start the postseason. Not exactly comforting. And overall, while I think the Vancouver Canucks have taken a big step this year, I don't know that they've taken the final step. I think playoff experience means a lot, and they don't have enough of it quite yet. All right, how about my Toronto Maple Leafs? This is probably the most I've ever believed in the core four to get it done, to produce offense in the playoffs. I mean, Austin Matthews has people talking about potentially scoring 70 goals. It's been epic to watch. I just don't know that their goaltenders, Ilya Samsonov and Joseph Woll, are a tandem that can win 16 games, 4 rounds, and potentially have to outperform the likes of Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark, Sergei Bobrovsky and the monstrous Florida Panthers, Shesterkin with Jonathan Quick backing him up in case anything goes awry. I mean, there is a gauntlet of goaltenders that can rise to the occasion in the East, and I haven't even mentioned Andrei Vasilevsky. Do not sleep on the Tampa Bay Lightning. So for me, it comes down to the Winnipeg Jets and the Edmonton Oilers. Now, I came into this segment thinking I was selling hard on WPG, the Winnipeg Jets. The whiteout is going to be very present this postseason. They play with structure, they play connected hockey, They have an insanely deep forward group that they added to at the deadline. I love the acquisitions of Tyler Toffoli and Sean. He's back to being money. Monahan, plus Connor Hellebuck having a Vezina-worthy season. And to be honest, he still has something to prove in the playoffs as well. I love the Winnipeg Jets. I was ready to pick them as my horse for this segment. There's just one very annoying small little problem. I couldn't find a good enough reason to vote against the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, they have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. We know this. This has been the case for a very long time. But they also have Zach Hyman, and their back end, which has been problematic for years, isn't perfect. It still leaves a little to be desired, but it's much better than it has been in years past, all right? Matthias Ekholm, Evan Bouchard, they're an unbelievable pair. If you're not paying attention, they're a little bit underrated outside of Edmonton, outside of Canada. The goaltending would probably be the biggest question mark, but I do think if you can outscore your problems, and if there's a team that can do it, it's Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers. Why not? But I think what it comes down to for me with Edmonton is the path. You get to the playoffs, sometimes it comes down to matchups and injuries. If the Edmonton Oilers are healthy, they have a potential first-round matchup against the LA Kings, maybe the Vegas Golden Knights, but they've been banged up all year long. When you compare that to Winnipeg, who's in the Central and right now tied for the division lead, I think it's a way harder path to the final for Winnipeg than it could be for Edmonton. So maybe I'm going to go with Edmonton. I don't know. I'm very torn. I need your help. If it's between Winnipeg or Edmonton, who do you think has a better shot at going the distance this year in the Stanley Cup playoffs? I don't know what to do. I kind of want to pick Winnipeg, but then McDavid and the Oilers pull me back. So hit me up in the comments. Let me know where your mind is at with all of the Canadian teams. I want to hear what you have to say. Set me straight. Like, comment, subscribe, do all of the YouTube things, and we will see you next week for another episode of The Jackie Redmond Show. Thanks for watching.